Hello, hello. Happy Friday. If you're watching here live, I am Anthony. I am a marathon runner based out of the Los Angeles area, kind of. I live about an hour and a half north of LA. But yeah, I like to say that I'm from the LA area. But I'm Anthony. I do this show about once a month, where I interview amazing people who happen to be runners. And if you're here watching live, I appreciate that. Or if you're watching the replay, I appreciate that also. So today we are talking to my friend Jonathan Andrade. He is also not only going to be a marathoner soon, but he is also a reseller. But before we get into that, I got to get my drink going. So if you did not know, the LA Marathon is coming up soon. You can see that. There we go. Coming up in about less than 6 weeks almost. Yeah, March 17th is the 2024 Los Angeles Marathon. I got my drink here, Electrolyte. This is the official hydration for the LA Marathon. So you're going to be seeing this on the course if you're doing it. Blue is actually one of my favorites. So I'm gonna use this as my drink today. Tell me what you're drinking. If you're watching live or in the replay, let me know. Are you having a drink tonight? Are you hanging out? But this is going to be my drink of choice tonight. But anyways, thank you for being here. Before we get going, be sure to share this with a running friend. Let them know, hey, this guy Anthony likes to talk to other runners and get to know their stories. So share this with a friend. I'd appreciate that. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. You can either be watching on YouTube or Facebook, but if you're watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That kind of shows YouTube that people are watching this and it kind of pushes out to more people. So I'd appreciate that. And lastly, be sure to follow today's guest on Instagram and YouTube. So without further ado, let me get to today's guest. So this is Jonathan. Let me fix this. Bam, there we go. All right, that's Jonathan Andrade. So he goes as J6 Flips on Instagram. And so he is not only a California-based runner, he is a reseller, which is something I'm really interested in talking about. Jonathan is a self-proclaimed hobby runner, but recently he decided that, let's see, he frequently runs with clubs such as Valley Runners, LA, Tempo Training, Cafe Jam, and Doghouse Canoga Park. These are all clubs I've never ran with, and I'd like to one day. So he's very busy. He used to tell everyone he would never run a marathon, but he couldn't say no to an opportunity to help the Neighborhood Nip Foundation with their inaugural the Marathon Runners Team 2024 at the 2024 Los Angeles Marathon. So very cool. I'm excited to have him here. Let me close this out. Sorry. Move this and move that. All right. Let's see who's here first. We got Miss Lachey Vassell. Hey, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. So without further ado, let's bring on my friend Jonathan J6 Flips. Hey, Jonathan.
How are you? How are you, Anthony? Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I got my drink right here because tomorrow we're doing 11 miles.
Oh, dear.
Which isn't,
okay.
Well, last week we did 19 miles, so that's not that bad.
Okay, in comparison, yeah.
Yeah, so you're training for your first LA marathon. So you're probably getting up in the miles now, I'm guessing. So how
Yes.
many miles do you have so far? What's the highest miles you've done so far?
Last week, the last 2 weeks I've done 18. This last week was a lot easier, though. The week before was a little bit of a struggle, so I felt a lot smoother this time around.
Well, just from experience, once you get onto the course, the crowd's going to push you. So my first marathon, I just did 16 was the most miles I ran for my first marathon.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of people ask, they say, how do you do 26 miles if you only train for like 16 or 18? I think, well, first of all, it's a combination of miles throughout the week, which you probably know, and the crowd pushes you throughout the course. So we got some people watching here today, Jonathan. We got Rizzo's here, two of the best dudes in our Los Angeles running community. Oh, that's nice. Thank you for being here, Rizzo. He's awesome. So anyways, first question I'd like to ask is, how did J6 Flips, how did you come up with that handle? Or the J6 part?
Yeah, the J6 comes from, it was a high school nickname I got. 6 was always my favorite number, and J is just the letter my name starts with. So I put the two together. I used to walk around with the backpack with the number 6 on my back. Like I used whiteout and I like made a 6 that looked really
Uh-huh.
terrible, but it was cool to me at the time. So eventually people started calling me J6, and I thought that was a nickname that would just stay in high school. And I moved out to the Valley, and one of my good buddies, Josh Davis, he's from Ohio, but moved out to the Valley, met him out here, and he
Mhm.
found out my nickname was J6, and man, he just kept it going. So he kind of fanned the flames. And then when it came to making the Instagram handle for my reselling, I just went J6 Flips. So it made it pretty easy.
You may have to give him a cut of some of your flipping proceeds.
I'll give him some royalties when the merch comes out.
All right, very cool. So for those that don't know who you are, let's talk. So I'm very curious about this. So who is Jonathan? Like, if you were just I just met you off the street. Who are you?
Well, first off, I'm a father. I got a 4-year-old. He's awesome, Maximo. I think he's watching now with my wife. I'm a husband. I'm a family guy. I love family, but both my family that obviously I was born into, but also my wife's family, who has really just adopted me in and just been really great. So I'm a family man, and other than that, I run sometimes. I resell a lot of stuff, and I just kind of try to stay active. I got a GoPro now that I run around with, and I started making content. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm a man of many hats. At one point, I was a sports reporter for a newspaper for many years. So there's just a lot to get into. I'm excited to really dive into it.
Oh my God. Yeah, you mentioned the sports reporter thing about 5 minutes before we got on. And I was like, stop, because I want to hear about that. So how do you like, because you said I'm usually the one used to interviewing. I'm like, what do you mean by that? So tell me about the sports reporter. Why didn't that keep going on?
Well, just growing up, I used to read the sports paper. My uncles we would always just share the newspaper. So growing up, we would have our cereal and we would just have the sports section going around, and then we go to school, and that was the whole thing. But my uncle actually was the first one to get into journalism classes, and he was going to Fullerton College at the time and looking into journalism. And I didn't even know that was a career. I didn't put the two and two together. That could be an option to write sports, to get paid to
Mm.
do that. So I slowly got into it at Fullerton College. I joined the paper thinking I would just kind of be a part of it and maybe contribute here and there, but they didn't have a sports reporter or a sports editor. And I applied for the job and got it. So I immediately jumped into an editor position, learned on the fly, was eventually a managing editor, transferred to CSUN where I became the sports reporter there and editor. So it kind of
Wow.
snowballed from there where I just kept writing. So they throughout the whole college journey, they would say, the best way to get experience is by getting experience. So if you want to write,
Mhm.
write. So the college papers were the perfect place for that, where I can make a lot of mistakes along the way, but also just kind of fine tune my skills until I got to.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him for a second. I'm sure he'll come back. So in the meantime, are you back? No. So what are you planning to be back for? Why we're waiting for him to get his signal back? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Viz says, happy birthday, Anthony. Thank you so much, Vizzo. I appreciate that. Yeah, today I turned 47 years old, and I'm very proud of that. Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was just talking about myself for a second. No worries. But thank you for the happy birthday, Vizzo. I
Happy
appreciate
birthday.
it.
Thank you for doing this on your birthday, by the way.
Oh
Yeah.
no, this is what I love to do. So it's not even what else would I want to do on my birthday? It's great. So you're talking about so you left off, you were a sports writer for CSUN.
Yes. And then I eventually got into a newspaper where I was a news reporter, but then the sports reporter left, and I was able to get back into sports. So I did that for 6 years full time, mostly high school sports, but I also got some cool assignments like talking to professional mixed martial artists. I got to do a couple
Oh
of Dodger
wow.
days. I got to meet Jaime Jarrin, the Dodgers Spanish announcer, who was also from Ecuador. So that was like huge for me. My family's from Ecuador, and he's like one of the best known people to come out of there. So it was just a lot of cool opportunities I got to do when I was still writing sports.
Wow. And what was your favorite sport to write about?
To write about ended up being mixed martial arts, like towards the end, because I got more into the personal aspect, really just telling people stories and backgrounds. And team sports are great for that too. Obviously, the athletes all have great upbringings and how they got to certain points. But with MMA, it's really it's on you when you step into that cage or into the
Mm.
octagon or wherever. All your work really culminates in that one moment, and sometimes it's for all the glory, and sometimes they just fall flat and literally on their face, knocked out cold. So the stakes are so high, and just the whole build up to it is just what really intrigues me. So I got in a lot of mixed martial arts at the end.
So who would you like? Would it be people for the college, like fighting for the college, or is it outside people?
The mixed martial arts started after I was already out of college, but in college I was obviously covering a lot of the teams. So when you're going through it, like
Oh,
journalism, it's really you start with like gamers, so you go write the game, final score, stats, and stuff like that. But
mhm.
the more you do that, the more kind of just repetitive it gets. So
Okay.
really, the thing that changes is who's on the court and what happens at the game. So it turned into more like what happened differently at this game, and also more about the person. So luckily, I had a great editor at the Acorn newspapers where I used to write, and he really fine tuned my skills as far as telling stories. And obviously, he had to be harsh on my writing because it wasn't very good. But every little by little, I got better and better. And yeah, so eventually I was able to work my way up to becoming an award-winning journalist who just really liked to do a bunch of features, and I was just like the face of the paper. I would always be out throughout the community writing stuff.
Wow. And why didn't you continue with that?
Well, the COVID hit actually, and the first thing
Oh,
cut was the sports department because all the sports got shut down. So there was no need for me to be running around asking about their experiences when nothing was going on. So first on the chopping block was a sports reporter, and then the paper is still around, but even then, like they've sold to a huge media conglomerate kind of thing, and it's a little bit
mhm.
different now. But luckily, I always say it. It's kind of silly to say, but COVID was like the best thing that happened to me because like the shutdown was because my son was born that January, like right before the whole shutdown started. When I went back to work, I went for like a week and a half, and then the shutdown started. So I was able to come back home, hang out with my son still while he was growing, and while we were in lockdown, my wife and I were just getting to really savor every second of that. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and then it forced me out of my because I really at the time all I knew was journalism and sports, and I was a sports reporter. That was my whole identity. And
Mhm.
when COVID shook things up, it really made me ask myself some questions like, okay, what am I going to do now? Who am I going to be? And really, it just the journey's been so wild. Like I made candles at one point. I was it's it's just been fun. Like, the people that see me now, like, what are you doing now? Like, what are you up to now? And I'm just like, whatever comes up, I'm up to. That's what I'm doing.
Wow, we're gonna get to that here in a second, but I'd like to know, like, how did you meet your wife? Is it your
Oh,
girlfriend or your wife?
my wife, yeah, yeah, we
Okay.
met working at Olive Garden. We were both servers, and
Oh, lucky dogs.
I
I would
know.
love to work at Olive Garden. The food there.
It was an issue. Like definitely every day I was having breadsticks and Alfredo sauce and soup. It was the best. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, as the saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was great. I met her there. I always joke around because people are like, "Oh, how did you guys meet?" And they usually keep the bread in like a little basket that's like a little warmer. So then when the table needs it, you grab it and you go. But everyone's kind of
Mhm.
reaching in the basket at the same time and getting to their tables. And I always say that we reached for the same breadstick at the same time, like Lady and the Tramp. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously it didn't happen that way. She was actually like training when I was already serving there, and then I gave her a hard time. I was really a stickler on the rules against her. I was like, hey, you got to put your hair up and do this and that. So I think I made it. I left an impression. It might not have been the best impression, but
Mm,
so that worked out for us in the end.
that's funny. So, I can imagine you're both reaching in there and like the slow music goes on and you both grab at the same time. Yeah.
I'm stopped for a second for sure.
So when your friend says she wants to hear more about these candles.
Hey, Miss Lachey, what's up? Thank you. She's been so supportive of my reselling channel, and she's
Oh,
overall. So thanks for the question. But
awesome.
yeah, I used to make, I don't know if I have any left around here anymore, but I used to make, soy wax candles in, like, craft beer cans. You know, they have, the craft beer breweries and stuff will use cool designs on them and such.
Hmm.
At the time, I had a beer channel that I was doing where we would go and feature these breweries and talk to the brewers and, really highlight the breweries, trying to get people in there. And, we ended up with a bunch of cans, like, cool-looking cans, and it just was a bummer to always crush them and toss them or recycle them. So I thought, what's a better way to make use of them? And the first thing, I think I'd watched like a reel or something on Instagram where someone made a candle like that. So I was like, I could just pour these in the cans and do that. So it started with a couple like for friends, and then it turned into I was popping up every weekend at different events throughout the valley, and I was shipping dozens of them to Colorado to breweries where they would send me their cans to make candles. So um,
Wow.
yeah,
That's a
it's
cool, clever idea.
yeah, it worked out well. I mean, people really liked them, but I just got tired of the whole cooking them, like because I had to cook them outside because I was working with like oils, and it was
Mm.
just a messy whole ordeal. So I would cook the candles on a barbecue, which sounds kind of funny, but it was more the side burner. But just to melt down the wax and to pour them and mix everything, it got messy, and just I wanted to save the weekends too because we would be busy through the week, and then I'd be gone on the weekends. So it was more so like something's got to give. So that's when it kind of naturally transitioned to where I was more flexible with reselling.
Mm. Yeah, let's get into that because you're just like a natural entrepreneur. Oh my gosh. So let's get into that. Like, how did the reselling journey start?
Luckily, I had a couple of buddies who had been doing it for a couple of years already. My buddy Trev and Pat, they were already well established in reselling, and they were willing to take me out. Like really the first thing I'd gotten. My wife and I loved to go thrifting already, so we would go and try to find things, and I would always find things that weren't my size. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I wish it fit me," and I would just leave it. But
Uh-huh.
one day I came across, I think it was a Logan Paul T-shirt that I got for $1 at the Goodwill, and I was like, "Oh, this is someone wants this." I think he was about to fight one of those silly boxing matches where he was going to go up against
Uh,
someone, and I thought this will for sure sell. So I listed it, and it sold for $30. And after that, it was just like
Whoa.
I was hooked. I'm like, who? How do you turn $1 into $30? And imagine if I had 10 of those shirts, and so it just quickly got out of hand from there. I started with just trying to get to 100 items. Then I wanted to get 100 feedback on eBay. Then it was just, and now I have like usually around 700 items listed in my store at any time now. So
Oh my God. For somebody that is, I'm not familiar with this at all. I mean, so you said you wanted 100 something on eBay, 100
100 feedback.
names?
So it's just pretty much
Whoa.
like reviews. So the more
Wow.
like obviously if you were to go to eBay and see an account that had like really low feedback or really
Hmm.
bad feedback, it wouldn't be good. So the main thing when my buddy Trev was telling me when you're starting your eBay store is he's like, just sell whatever, just get good feedback. Like make your first goal to get 100 positive feedback on eBay. So that was my first goal. So of course I was just grabbing things at the store, and obviously I bought a lot of bad things that didn't flip, and I bought a lot of great things that flipped for crazy amounts. So it was
Hmm.
always just like kind of learning until I got to that feedback part, and then after that, I was so deep into it that it just kept going.
What's the item that sold? What's the biggest profit you've made on something?
I actually bought a brand new sealed. It's like one of those regenerative hat things, like for balding folks. So I should have probably kept it because it might be valuable to
What?
me soon. But there's these caps that have like heat lamps underneath the like the of it, and it was sealed. And I saw it at the Hope of the Valley, which is one of the thrift stores I go to a bunch. And they had it sealed there, and a lady was kind of looking at it and like making jokes about it. But while she was doing that, I was looking it up because that's the way you obviously find the value. So I searched it real quick
Okay.
and saw they were selling for like 800 new, like in their website, they were selling for over 1,000 easily. Like that's retail price. I was
Wow.
for $750 based off of that $75 I initially invested in it. So that was probably the biggest of the flips that I got. But there's been a lot of
How long
cool.
did it take to sell?
That one
That
sold pretty fast because like in reselling, it's always about how many items are listed and how many items have sold in the last 90 days. That gives you a sell-through rate. So you go based off of that. So the sell-through rate on this was like 500% or something crazy like that. So 100 is usually great, but this thing was
Mm.
just hard to keep on the shelves, it seemed, because they're so expensive off their website. It was an amazing deal for them too, and it was still huge profits for me. So that was one of my bigger flips.
Wow. And how do you look up an item? Like you just go to Google?
Yeah, I mean, you can do Google. Half the time, like the best thing you can do is like shop the things that you know. So like a lot of running gear stuff, like I'll grab that stuff, or jujitsu gear. It's like
Mm.
just things you already know. But eBay makes it really easy because if you find something and you just type in some details, you can filter the search to show what has sold. So if you see what sold and what prices, then you can kind of get an idea of if it's valuable or if it's not. So if there's like 50 of them listed and only one sold, that's not a real good flip because you might be holding on to it for a while, or it's not a great
Oh,
desirable item. So really it's just learning the market that way. And my buddy Trev would always tell me, like, if you're bored, just go on to eBay and look up sold comps, which is just whatever is sold and the completed items, and that's a good sense of like what stuff's selling for and what's actually selling, and you can just get a nice sense of the market that way.
wow, that's incredible. So I've been watching your videos lately, leading up to this interview,
Thank you.
and you call your storage unit Battlestar Galactica or something like that? Battlestar
I call it the J6 Flips mothership. Before Joe
Mothership, yeah.
did the comedy mothership, I was already calling mine the J6 Flips mothership. So I don't know if I should. It's not enough to sue him, maybe, but I wish I could. But yeah, I call it the J6 Flips mothership just because it sounded good after flips. So it's fun to call it something other than what it is—a storage unit, the 10 by 10 storage unit.
I was blown away by the numbers you were spitting out. Like you said, you sometimes you made like $10,000 months.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like $10,000 months, but this past year over the 4 platforms I was on, I sold something like 40,000 over the 4 platforms that I sell on. So mostly eBay.
over
eBay's the
over
main
like
over the last year.
wow, that's incredible. That's like an income. That's like almost a full-time job income for somebody.
Definitely, yeah. Well, the obviously the what sold isn't what I end up making in profits because I still have the cost of goods. I pay for the storage unit
Oh,
stuff. So it felt like I think I told Lena runs for metals at one time. I told her it's like a full time job for part time pay. So it was mostly the flexibility that kept me in it uh,
okay.
because my wife is such a boss at work and she's just always very busy. I was able to be flexible with my schedule with my son. So if he like had to miss school, it was easy for me not to go to a thrift store that day, or easy for me not to have to list a bunch of things that day. So it worked out for flexibility wise at that point. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, I was blown away by how organized you are. Like you have
Oh,
your boxes, you have them all labeled, packaged. I'm like, man, if that was me, things would be all over the place.
it's the good thing is that the reselling community is very they don't keep the secrets. They really do tell everyone like, hey, this is how I do it. There's a guy Dixon's Pickens on YouTube. He has 9,000 items in his store. So his whole thing is he has SKU numbers for everything, and when it sells, he could just quickly go to that box and that item, pull it out, and ship it out faster than I can do it with my 900. So
Oh my
there's
gosh.
definitely ways to level up, and little by little I got there. It started with like I have a bin A and a bin B, and then it got like to the point where I was like, okay, this is the clothing one, this is the other one, hard goods, electronics, things like that. So but luckily it was a wealth of knowledge on YouTube. Guys like Harry
Mhm.
Tornado, probably one of the more well-known guys, and guys like that were really helpful and just um, really making a shortcut to get around the stuff that they all their errors. They're more than happy to help make sure I was on the right track and the fast track.
Wow. I mean, like as I said, for someone that's not a reseller, I found your videos very interesting. So you're doing it. Your editing is fun. You have a good pace to them. So yeah, keep up the good work, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. You never know. You might have 9,000 items yourself soon one day.
I hope so. I mean, I don't know if I've got that much time to do it. It really does take a lot to do it, but
Mm.
it's been fun. Just like the stuff and just the people I got to meet. Like Miss Lachey is someone I just know just from YouTube and just commenting back and forth, and it's just cool to like the community because that's really where my Instagram got started because I was more so just following resellers and I would comment and then follow back and then you kind of just grow and it was just cool to be in the mix with people who are doing the same thing as you.
Yeah, I agree. YouTube, the community on YouTube is just fantastic.
Mhm.
I mean, I tell people all the time, YouTube is my number one platform. It is the most fun. I met the most people. I have the most connections just through YouTube. So anybody watching, go to YouTube. All right, so let's get back to the running stuff here. All right, so we got the reselling journey. Now let's talk about your running journey. How did this all come up?
Oh man. I don't know. It seems like surreal at some points because that when I was growing up in any sport I've ever played, running was the punishment. So if you miss a ground ball in baseball, it's like run to the goal and back, or football, run a lap, or things like that. But so I
Mhm.
would always kind of joke around because my wife used to do like 5Ks and she did the San Francisco half marathon that Nike did, where they gave out like there was firemen giving out Tiffany necklaces and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was like, all right, well, this isn't my cup of tea. But little by little, we started hiking, and then it turned into like trail running, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So my wife really is the one who kind of inspired me to start running, and it just kind of
Mhm.
slowly picked up. I think run clubs really did help, like kind of keep me coming back. And then when my wife got reintroduced to running again, we started going to more clubs, and then yeah, when opportunities presented themselves, now I'm running a marathon soon. So it really has kind of been a wild journey to say the least.
So your wife got you going. That's amazing.
She did.
And is she faster than you?
Not right now. She's not, but she's not far away. She's definitely going to catch up.
Okay.
She's got big goals. She's got big distance goals, and I'm happy with one marathon, I think. And I don't know if I'll ever do it again after that, but I've heard that's what
Famous last words.
everyone says. That's what I've heard. So,
So,
but yeah, she's
so
definitely.
a lot of running clubs you're with. So like, I didn't even realize there's that many running clubs in the valley.
Yeah, luckily, it's rich out here, and it really is underrated because like the Valley Runners are, I think they're now 8 years old or just turned 9,
Mm.
and it's just a cool group of folks who used to meet in North Hollywood and then would commute into LA to join another run club over there. But when they realized
Oh.
that, hey, we're already here, we could just run from North Hollywood. So they met at the North Hollywood station. They would run around there, and then it evolved to where they moved around the valley each month. They would do a new location, and then when they finally were in Northridge, I was able to make one of those runs, and I really just got hooked to the community aspect of it there because everyone was so supportive, and you got to hear that they were like going to do some cool races, and it was just a lot of fun once you connect with them, and especially when you start missing some, and then they're like, "Wait, where are you? Where are you? Like where?"
Yeah.
And then you got an accountability aspect to it, so. Yeah, but it is a lot of fun just getting to see, especially getting to see other people's journey too. Because I mean, some people do it for fun and just want to do a couple 3 miles and hang out and do karaoke afterwards like usual, but
Hmm.
there's also people who are doing some real things like some ultra marathons and stuff that we got some real gamers out there for sure.
Do you have a home club out of all those that you consider a home club?
I'd say it's the Valley Runners. That was the first one I
Okay.
attended. So Valley Runners for sure has my heart. You never forget your first, but it was that
Hmm.
one, and then I would go to Doghouse a lot, which is the Doghouse in Canoga Park because there's two of them. There's the one that's the original one, and then I think the Canoga Park one. And then I also run with Tempo Training Run Club and Cafe Jam Run Club was one of the newer ones. But man, the community Gracie's got going on there is pretty special too. So.
Why do they call it Tempo Run Club? They do just tempo runs?
No, it's a faster. It seems like some of the workouts are faster, but it really is just open to anyone. So all levels are welcome at that run. That's
Okay.
the cool thing. It's the run club vibe is usually very supportive. So like, there's obviously the fast people who take off faster, but at all these clubs I go to, no one ever gets left behind. There's always I've many times just stayed behind to be the sweeper and just kind of chat up whoever's at the end and remind them like, hey, like even if you're just starting, like we were all beginners at one point and
Hmm.
kind of build up. So like it's not a race. Like this is in the famous words of Nipsey Hussle, like life's a marathon. So yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So what do you remember your first race you've done? What was the first one?
First race, actually, like in high school, I had done like one of the mud runs, one of those like 5K things, and
Oh,
it,
okay.
it wasn't like it was more like an obstacle course kind of thing. But I was trying to think of like maybe one of the more memorable ones I did was the Students Run LA, the Friendship Run, because it was
Oh, you're gonna be there this year?
I'll be there again this year, yeah. But last year I
Okay.
won an entry, and I was like, oh well, if I get a choice between a 5K and 18 miles, I might as well, get your bang for your buck. So I was like, I'll do
Yeah.
the 18 miler. I did, I think maybe a 10 miler before, thinking I'd be prepared, and I just by mile 17, my calf was like cramping up. I'm on the Hanson Dam, just like looking like, why did I even do this? But it was
Yeah.
that point where I was like, this is cool. Like everyone else is struggling too. And especially that run, the friendship run where all the kids are trying to qualify for the LA marathon. And then you got the guy with the flag who's marching his way towards,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's funny to watch him because he's kind of like Pac-Man, just like anyone he passes is like chewed up and like you're out, because you're not going to beat him
Yeah.
if you're already falling behind at that point. So, but it was really that vibe. And then the Valley Runners are great about getting a nice group out there too for the run it in portion of it at the end, where I think it's the last 2 or 3 miles. They'll
Yeah.
there to cheer on anyone close to that line where the cutoff time. They'll go out there and try to really motivate them because they are close enough to get there, and they just need a little bit of a little motivation to get there. So
So I've done that the past couple of years with them. And the last kid I had, I asked him, no, it wasn't the kid. It was 2 years ago, this girl I was with. And I go, what'd you have to eat today? She goes, a cookie for 18 miles. I was like, oh my God. So I promised her, because we have a cheer booth on the LA Marathon course. And I said, if you finish this, I said, what's your favorite food? She goes, I think she said Wendy's or something. I go, if you finish this and in time, I'm going to have a Wendy's gift card waiting for you at our cheer booth. And she
Okay.
was the quietest thing. She barely said two words the whole time, but she did stop and get her gift card at the LA Marathon.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to motivate them with food, man.
I know that. I think that works with me too. But yeah,
Who you telling? My wife keeps telling me if I didn't run, I'd be on a 600-pound life.
yeah. Another great way to live for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's why you mentioned uh, 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 Olive Garden. I was like, oh my gosh, why
Oh
did
yeah.
you mention food?
Oh gosh, I love it. Man. When we had Never Any Pasta Bowl, that was like definitely my heaviest time of the year was Never Any Pasta Bowl.
Did you ever get sick of the food there?
Only certain items, and it also because there were so many awesome items on, and it's I feel like I'm getting paid by
Oh.
Olive Garden now, but there's so many awesome items on there. You can just have something else for a couple months, and then you go back to the other one. But pretty much the Alfredo sauce in Toscana is good any day, every
Mm,
day. Just
yeah.
it.
Oh man, we're going sideways here. Let's get to the next topic.
Was,
Okay, so
was
so you're running your first marathon ever, and I got to tell you, you're way ahead of the curve, man. Because my first marathon was just for myself. I didn't. I think a lot of people they just do it for themselves. They do it just to beat a goal, but to do it for charity is really remarkable. So you're doing it for the Neighborhood Nip Foundation. So let's hear about that. Tell about the foundation. How did you find them? Talk about all you want. I don't really know much about Nipsey Hussle, so if you want to educate me on him also, I'd be honored.
Okay. Well, Nipsey Hussle is a well-known rapper. He's Crenshaw area, representing the LA rap scene for many years until his life was ended short. Right in front of his store, there's the Marathon Clothing Store, and that same building now is going to be renovated to turn into the center or the hub for the Neighborhood Knit Foundation, which is the foundation his family is now running in his namesake, obviously, for which will benefit really the kids in the area. So they'll do tutoring for the kids, they'll provide free haircuts, they're going to provide studios so kids who are interested in getting into music can practice like producing music and doing all that. So really it's for the community that he was already uplifting when he was still alive. But
Mm,
yeah, I mean, his music, I would listen to his music when I was still in high school, mainly in college. I feel like I was listening to a lot of it because it was just that marathon mindset. Like life's, it's not a sprint, like life's a marathon, you know? So it's just more
mhm,
so just staying on course, believing in what your mission is and just keep going. So it, I mean, you can really use that in any aspect of life. And it was more so like, at the time it was school and work, and I was just like I was always hustling even at that time. So um, it just made sense when the opportunity came up. I saw that the Marathon Clothing announced that they were taking applications for runners for the official marathon runners team, which was like it seemed like it made sense. And I think Nipsey Hussle's brother, he said that Nipsey had this plan before he passed, that he wanted to eventually
oh
make
wow.
for the LA Marathon, especially because it is in LA. And obviously, didn't get the chance to, but the fact that they can bring it to real life now, it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And I told my wife, I was like, if I get into this, if I get on the team, you have to sign up too. So now she's also running her first marathon, and it's just but as far as the Nipsey, Neighborhood Knit Foundation, it's been really cool just trying to raise funds. We've been trying to get creative. A lot of the local shops that I usually frequent as just a patron, just sitting there working on my laptop and editing videos and stuff, have been really helpful
Mhm,
because I've just become a familiar face in there. And then when I tell them I'm raising funds, they all jumped at the opportunity to help. So Jesse's Grind is the local coffee shop that was really nice to help out. They had a whole weekend where they were all you had to do was mention my name and they would put a percentage of it towards the foundation. So we ended up raising $100 just at Jesse's Grind that they contributed to the foundation, which is awesome. And we have two events coming up. Tuesday, we have Hoka, Myra at Hoka is going to do a shoe demo at the local, it's like a tea spot. It's a coffee shop tea spot, but it's called Mate Conmigo. It's like a traditional tea drink that they have in Argentina, where it's like a cup with a straw. You've probably seen people drinking out of them. But the whole thought, or the whole real tradition behind it, is that you would put the tea in there and then you pour some water, you drink your portion of it, and then once you're done with it, you pass the tea to the next person and they fill it with water and they'll drink it. So
oh
essentially
wow.
a mate conmigo, which means with me. So you're having tea with me. But the tea is just awesome. It's not as caffeinated as coffee, so I try to go back and forth for that, just so I'm not always wired on straight black coffee
Mhm.
all the time. But The owners there are also very helpful. So when I told them like, "Hey, I'm also fundraising this, that if we can help, let me know." And Myros had recently just told me she wanted to do a shoe demo to try to help whatever business I wanted to go to. So of course I chose them, and so we're doing that Tuesday at 6 p.m. Everyone can try on some Hokas, have some tea, and then we're going to do a quick 5K around the neighborhood here. And yeah, I mean the whole fundraising has been fun. Even there's another coffee shop, Cafe Aficionado in Northridge. One of my favorite coffee shops for sure because I used to sell candles there when I was still making candles.
Oh, wow.
Really good friend. She's got a son who's close to my son's age, so we really just bonded over that, and just the whole community there is really cool. But of course, she wanted in on helping the fundraiser, so she had the brilliant idea of doing karaoke for a night. So instead of running, and we're just all going to go to Cafe Aficionado. She's gonna have the coffee bar open. She's gonna be cooking some food, and we're gonna have karaoke going on. And we're calling it Runners and Friends, based off of the obviously really popular concert that is going on. But so it's our little twist on that, where us runners can get together, not have to run, and get to sing a couple songs and raise some funds for the Neighborhood Knit Foundation.
And when is that going to be?
That'll be the following Saturday, so Sunday, the 18th.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. But all this information is on your Instagram. You're sharing it there.
Yes, I've been trying to share as often as I can, so definitely easy to find any information on J6 Flips.
That's wonderful. So how many people on this team?
I think it said something close to like 50 runners are on there. So the cool thing
Wow.
is, a lot of Nipsey's family is going to be running it. So his brother's supposed to be running it. A lot of people who are just with the marathon clothing, like Jorge Paniche is like the photographer that used to take a lot of pictures of Nipsey. He's going to run it. I think it might be his first one. Another LA rapper, Murs, is going to be out there running with us, which is like amazing because I went to Rock the Bells when I was like still in high school and saw him perform live. So the fact that I'm going to be running a marathon with him is like, it's just wild because I saw him in the group chat and I was like, this can't really be Murs. And then we see his, I cannot believe this. So eventually the whole team is going to finally meet in person. But for now, we've just all really been supportive of each other in the group chat and just like rooting each other on, and, celebrating the little milestones like that. When we did our first 15-mile run, it was awesome and everyone was really supportive. And then it's still just going to keep on going until we hit that race day, because I keep on saying it sounds cliche, but um, like the whole training up to the marathon is really what
Mhm.
is really the hard part, I think, because once it comes
Yeah.
to
Oh,
it,
yeah.
like,
Definitely.
it's like you prepare for a show, and then when the show happens, it's like that's the big celebration. So
Yeah.
um,
It's like your victory lap kind of thing.
exactly, yeah. So
Mhm.
Nipsey had a album called The Victory Lap. So I mean, it's just cool to have that as that really is the victory lap that we get to go and run
Yeah.
today and support and just hopefully rock the TMC on our chest and do it all for Nipsey.
So what's your goal
The
or
goal
a
is
marathon? Your fundraising goal?
Yeah, the goal is 5,000 per runner for the marathon runners. Right now we're at 1,500, which is amazing because most of the time the goal
Mhm.
is around that 1,500, maybe like 2,000
Yeah.
or something. So I'm just glad to even hit that mark. Obviously, the goal is to get to 5,000, but as long as we're contributing to the cause, I'm pretty stoked about it because it is definitely going to be a helpful chunk of change that's going to go towards a great cause.
Exactly. And when does the fundraiser end?
It ends like the day before the run, so in
Okay.
March. Yeah, mid March.
Okay. And everybody could find the link on your bio, on your Instagram, or in your YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. So I have it on there on my Instagram link on the link tree. There's an option to click it there. I post about it pretty frequently. I've been doing a bunch of giveaways, like some people I met when I was still popping up for the candles. Like there's a cookie maker, Luna Bakes. I've donated a bunch of cookies that I was able to give away to my donors. So pretty much I've just been collecting little things, and then every other couple of days I'll raffle off to anyone who has donated. So even the people who have donated $100 or the people who have donated $5 are all given this chance to win just a little small sign of appreciation for just the support and just for really rooting me on through this whole thing.
Did they suggest this to you guys, or did you come up with this on your own? All these giveaways and stuff.
The giveaways is just my idea. And I started kind
Wow.
of things like it was really started from when I did the candles, because we started doing pop-ups and we would have to market them and promote them. And it was then we started doing, like, I had the idea of I'm going to bring in a bunch of raffle tickets. I'll give some to each vendor. And then whenever anyone sells anything, you would give them a raffle ticket. And then at the end, we would raffle off like a gift card to Cafe Aficionado or something. So that aspect was always just like, oh, I wonder what we can do just to make it a little more fun, or just to make a little more incentive. Like if you buy from one vendor, then you can get another raffle ticket if you just get something else from another vendor. So it was just things like that. And yeah, it's fun that the events kind of just naturally come about, because I would never think like, oh, I'm gonna do a tea run at night with Hoka. Like it wasn't like I had that in mind, but
Yeah,
when the stars align, you just put them together and go with it. So
that's incredible, man. You're doing a great job. Wow.
thank
So
you.
you're giving me some ideas.
Yeah, definitely go for it. I had some teammates reaching out to me for the marathon runners. They're like, "Hey, do you mind if I steal your idea?" I'm like, "That's not my idea. Like, please help, because like please
Yeah.
do that, because it all goes towards the same cause. It's not going towards me. It's going towards the kids who really do need it. So it's going to benefit way more people in the long run than it would just us having fun out there."
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely, man. I'm excited for you.
thank you.
So, anybody watching in the chat right now, if you guys have a question for Jonathan, please let me know, and we're going to get to the questions here in a bit. But you get to ask him about running, you ask him about the Knit Foundation, you can ask him about flipping, whatever you want. He's open book. So, with that said, what is your next running goal after the? Have you thought about that?
Next
'Cause I
running
see
goal.
you did space. You did space rock. You did space rock.
I did. Yeah, spacewalk was fun. That was just a cool one. My wife and I had already planned that one. It's our new annual tradition, because our anniversary is in October, our wedding anniversary. So
Mm.
now we're going to do a race every October together that we go and run. So Space Rock was the first one. We just went out there and we're kind of cruising through. We didn't end up running it together. We ran at our own paces, but it was just fun that we both got to share that experience. And that's a really
Which
cool.
one did you guys do? Which one did you
We
do?
did, I think it was the 9 miler or the 13. I can't even remember now, but
And it's tough, man. It's a tough course.
yeah, it definitely was, but, like, all the scene like, the scenery was awesome. It's just, like, those cool rocks that were all in all those movies and stuff. It was just a lot of fun,
Hmm.
so, and I was trying to chase down some people. You know, when you see someone at a race and you're like, "I think I'm faster than them," and you're not, and you just now you're keeping pace with someone who's way faster than you. So I ended up, I think I placed, like, 1st in my age division for the first time ever at that race, just trying to keep up with someone who I thought I could beat. So, but it was just
Hmm.
that made it memorable, but the whole thing was just a cool experience, and their medals are, like, very cool too, so definitely worth checking it out.
Yeah, definitely want to do that one day. So
Yeah.
now you got your marathon, your first marathon you're gonna be doing. What's your next goal? Have you thought further than the marathon?
No, my eyes have really been set on the marathon. That's the goal, is to just cross the finish line there. Healthy is the main goal. Like really just stay healthy. Don't hurt myself out there trying to be some kind of superhero or something. Just I'm gonna have my GoPro, I'm gonna film the whole experience. So it really is just again back to that victory lap mindset where I'm not worrying about the time. I'm just going out there having fun, hopefully seeing a bunch of people along the course and all that good stuff. But after that, I want to get back on the trails. My wife and I are really trail people. That's where we belong, I think. But the road stuff, like right now, we're in the middle of it, so like the thick of it. So we've been doing a lot of road, and we're just kind of getting antsy to get back on the trails. So afterwards, I'll probably end up doing a lot of the. We like a lot of the circuit that SoCal Trail does. They put on some great races out here, and I'm just excited to go out there and do all their races that they put on, because they have like a whole challenge series you can do. They have night races. They have an ultra that comes up later this year. So
Mm,
it really is just coming back and doing that. And plus Daniel and his wife, they're just really cool people, and they make a great atmosphere. And now they'll have me out to any race to come and make a video, and they're just gladly have me out there. So I've been doing a lot of content for them too whenever I do go race for them.
okay, awesome. So this will be your longest mileage you've ever done.
Yeah, the
26,
26.
22.
Yep.
Okay, you'll be fine. Just watch out for them hills at the end.
Okay. Thanks for the heads up. Everyone keeps warning me about the hills. I feel like in my head they're like a mountain at the end, but hopefully it's not as extreme as I'm putting it in my mind.
Well, if you look at them now, they're like, oh, that's no big deal. But after you got 20 miles under your belt, you're like, what the?
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle, but I'm excited for the whole challenge. I mean, it really is. Everyone's been saying it's more so mental than anything, so I'm excited to
Oh,
just push myself that way. And the whole the I recently was featured by the LA Marathon for like my story, and they asked like who am I dedicating my race to, and it's actually my mom. She was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer August of more than a year ago now. But when it did happen, the doctor said, "Well, you got a year," and she's already surpassed that. She's thriving with the medicine she's taking. She's been doing
wow.
eating and juicing and doing everything, and she's right now with family in Ecuador having a grand old time and just doing living it up really. So that's who I'm dedicating the race to, but the fundraisers will go towards the Neighborhood Knit Foundation.
I mean, yeah, that's how I found out about you. I saw that article or that the post from the LA Marathon. And I
Yeah.
said, man, this guy. And I showed my wife about it, and she immediately gravitated to your Nissan because she's a thrifter herself. She loves
Oh,
going to thrift shops. So
well, thank you.
we
Yeah.
have a question for you.
Oh,
So Miss Lachey says, "Does the little man like to run with mom and dad? How
oh
old
yeah.
is he anyway? How old
Uh,
is he?"
Maximo is 4 years old now. He just turned 4 in January. But he does come
Hmm.
with us to the run clubs. He's very well known at the run clubs because he's the one in the stroller who is just doing the Spider-Man quick response to everyone. So everyone's like, "Hey, Spider-Man, good to see you." So he's like a celebrity now just by hanging out, and people love to see him out there. Obviously, the weather's been a little bit horrendous lately, so we don't like to take him out when it's too cold or when it's raining out, just
Yeah.
just so we can add a convenience for us. So luckily, my wife's parents love to watch him and are always at hand to watch him. So we get to go and still do the clubs at night. But he's definitely, I think he's itching to get back out to a couple more club runs.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what kind of impressions you're making on your kids, you know?
Yeah, he's got a
Yeah.
couple medals now. He did the drumstick dash too, the kids run this past Thanksgiving. So
Oh, wow.
he's got a collection going.
Well, maybe you can sign him up for the kids run at the big 5K kids run before the LA Marathon.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Lachey. I appreciate that. So I have a question. So do you have a favorite medal out of all the ones you have so far? What's your favorite medal and what's the story behind it?
Actually, I have it right here. It's the Bulldog medal. SoCal Trail does a really good job of getting like these really cool
Oh,
custom.
wow.
You could see it kind of. It's like 3D wood. It's all wood, so
Hmm.
definitely my favorite one. And it was a cool race, but it was more so that I got to do this one with my wife. So this is the one we actually stuck together and did it. And she had just gotten back into running, so it was a little bit of a struggle. And but the fact that now she's really it reignited her love for running, and she's got huge goals just based off that run. So it's just like it felt like a landmark or like a milestone that was really important. So this is probably my favorite one, just based off how cool it is and also just how significant it was. So Bulldog.
I love that. It's funny how these medals, I mean, yeah, we all have a bunch of medals stacked up everywhere, but they each have a little story behind each of them, you know? And so that one seemed to have a very a close story to your heart with your wife and everything.
Oh, definitely.
So hopefully she's watching this. You know, you got some brownie points.
Hopefully, I've been trying. I don't know if you noticed that the whole thing.
All right, man. This is awesome. Thank you for sharing all that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Man, I'm cheering you on. I'm gonna look for you at the LA Marathon. I'm hopefully you can come to LA Roadrunners one weekend and
Yeah.
share your fundraiser. And I'm gonna try to get to that meetup on a. You said it's on a Sunday.
I'm sorry. The
The
runners.
that second meetup. It's on a Sunday, right?
Yeah, it's on a Sunday, and it's the day before. I think it's President's Day, right? The holiday coming up. And there's my wife right there.
There she is.
There's yeah, there's a holiday the next day, so everyone's kind of excited because like we get to stay. I think we're doing 5 to 8 is like the window we're giving everyone to come
Okay,
hang out. So, but the next day is a holiday, so we're hoping people are willing to come out on a Sunday night and have a good time.
nice. I'm gonna try to check that out. I really am.
Great.
All right, cool. So we got all this out of the way. Now we got one final question for you. Okay, but first we got to do a cheers because we had a great conversation.
Okay, thanks.
What are you drinking tonight?
I'm sipping on off field. I usually drink it on long runs. It's a CBD CBG drink that they make it for like runners or people who play pickleball, pretty much any activity. It's supposed to be
Hmm.
like it's kind of like a shortcut to a runner's high. It just really gets you in the zone. It loosens you up, and you get to go out and have fun. So I've been sipping on this one today.
What's it called again?
It's called Off Field, all one word. So O, three F's, and then the rest of field. So
I'm gonna check that out.
yeah,
Man,
have to get you
and
some.
I got my electrolyte. You'll see this on the course of the LA Marathon.
Perfect.
But all right, so let's do a cheers to a great conversation.
Cheers.
Bam. Cheers, everybody, for watching. All right, Jonathan Andrade,
Yes.
how has running helped you live your best life?
Oh man, it really does. It kind of trickles into the rest of your life. Like there's times where I used to be a big beer fan, so I'd have like go to these breweries and have like try each one and like oh I gotta see what the stout tastes like and the IPA tastes like. But then I wouldn't be able to get a run in the next day. I would not feel like it. So when I started considering like oh I gotta run tomorrow, maybe I won't drink this day or maybe I won't. And then it just like it snowballs and you start eating a little bit healthier, you start getting better just habits overall. And the fact that running kind of led me into these run clubs, it just really made this community that my wife and I just love. Like we go love to hang out with our running friends, and everyone's so supportive right back to us. And I think the runners and friends, that karaoke night's going to be a good a sign of how cool it is and how like close everyone gets. And it's just running is, man, I would never believe I would say something like this, but it really has just changed my life for the better. So I can't thank running enough, and I can't thank the running community enough.
Amazing. Fantastic answer. So it's made you a better person, husband, father. It's brought you closer to your wife, and
Definitely.
it's built your community. And look at you. Now you're raising money for the Neighborhood Knit Foundation by doing something you thought you would never do.
Exactly. And hopefully helping other
Oh,
people in the long run. So definitely, one good seed will just, it really does impact, and hopefully it sends a rippling effect to the rest. So it's been a lot of fun.
awesome. And I know you say this might be your last marathon, but I don't think so.
I know. I'm starting to think that's not true either, because my wife's about to go to an ultra marathon, and she keeps on talking about it. I'm like, well, maybe I want to try one of those, like get on a trail for 30 miles. But I don't know. That seems so far fetched right now that I'm really just happy getting out there and just running around and hanging out.
I agree. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for hanging out. I appreciate you taking the time off of your Friday night and to hang out with me. That was cool.
No,
So
thank you.
anybody watching, please support the fundraiser. Head to the bio link in his bio. Even $5 helps. Or even just sharing the link. Even if you don't have the funds to donate, sharing the link means a lot. So as a fundraiser myself, I know just sharing it means the world to us. So thank you, Jonathan, and
Thank
we're going to
you.
see you
Birthday again.
soon.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
Birthday to
47 years old tonight, buddy. 47.
congrats. Here's to 50.
There we go. Well, I'll see you. I'll see you either at the Sunday run or the LA Marathon.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Another great conversation. Thank you for everyone that watched up to this point, either if you're watching live or in the replay. I appreciate you. I try to do this at least once a month, talk to an amazing person who happens to be a runner. If you have any ideas for somebody you think might be a great guest, please, there will be a link in the description below on YouTube by tomorrow, or hit me up on Instagram or something. Say, hey, I know somebody that'd be perfect, and then I'll continue with the process with how we do this. But yeah, it doesn't matter about audience size or anything. I just love to hear stories. So if you have somebody in mind, please let me know. I'd like to meet them. Also, if you watched to this point, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're new to the community, I'd love to have you here. And yeah, that's it. Tomorrow, I got 11 miles with the LA Roadrunners. So we did 19 last weekend, so 11 miles should feel pretty easy, I hope. But let's see who's chatting before I say goodbye. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to hang out with your husband. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mark, for being here. I appreciate you. All right. And with that said, I think I'm going to go celebrate my birthday now with my family. I'm Anthony, reminding you to keep running for your best life. See you next time.